Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans, and I'm your transformation coach, health strategist, and internationally published author, helping take your life, your business, your health, fitness, mindset, and body from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. Got a very special guest with me today. It's Will Wang from Growth Labz. How you going, Will?
Rob, thanks so much for having me on, mate. Really looking forward to the show.
Yeah, terrific. I'm looking forward to it as well. So, thought we could cover a wide range of topics here today. So you're it's your own business, you're obviously head of marketing there as well. Tell us a little bit about your business, what you specialize in marketing, and let's go from there.
Yeah, sure. So I specialize in, I guess you could call it copywriting, right? So kind of writing the words that go onto a website or on emails and things like that. And yeah, so I've been doing that for a number of years now, and started really when I was in corporate IT, hated the job and just thought, look, what do I like doing? What do I want to do for the rest of my life? And so that kind of evolved over the past 7 years. But now we do marketing for a bunch of different businesses, like technology businesses, financial services, and it was mostly like business to business marketing that we do. And I kind of work with my clients to do the entire strategy to execution. So they just get leads coming in, day out. So
Yeah, cool. So I know I'm a lot older than you, and I started my working career before the internet existed. Believe that. I can still remember being at my chartered accounting is my background. I worked for Coopers and Lybrand, and I remember the day where there was so much excitement, and we got the first Windows-based computer and introduced to a mouse. Like, I can still remember where I was, and it's like, oh my God, look at that. Oh, it's got a ball in the bottom of it. That's when the days when I had a ball in the bottom of it. So what I've seen is that the biggest change since the internet, I suppose, that's been happening more, making more accessible in this last, I don't know, 6 months, I suppose, for me, is AI, and specifically things like your chat GPT and so forth. And how is that having an impact on your business?
Yeah, it's been really, really great. So, people think because we're in the writing business or the writing game, ChatGPT is going to replace everything that we do. But I mean, maybe one day, but I think it's still a ways off. If anything, it's actually helped us to get faster at what we do. So, for example, I used to research for hours and hours on the stuff that we do for clients. I used to go into every single forum, read every single book review of competitors, all of that kind of stuff. And ChatGPT just makes it a little bit easier for us to do some of that research. And it probably knocks out about 50% of research time. So, rather than having to scroll through pages of articles online, it kind of just summarizes a whole bunch of them for us, which is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, it certainly saves a staff member for me. And yeah, you're right. It just speeds up the whole process and gives you better information, but it's not always right either. So you have to check
Mm.
things to make sure that it's absolutely spot on. So what would you say is the biggest challenge facing you and your business right now?
I think this might be an unconventional answer, but the biggest challenge for me is just my shiny object syndrome, where it's like, chasing new things, new exciting things. We're a great business at the moment, great clients, and who just absolutely love working for. But the tinkerer in me just likes breaking stuff. So every now and again, I'll go off the deep end and do something completely different to the business and break things and test it. So the biggest challenge is balancing that with making sure that our clients are still getting the results. And thankfully, it's still been pretty good so far. But also making sure that we stay on trend and we stay on top of the latest technology. But also that we do spend the time working on client campaigns. I think that's kind of the main one.
So who's your ideal client? What sort of size business?
Yeah, so it used to be the bigger end of town. So like the really big corporates, we work for companies in Australia who are doing 200 million a year. But recently we've come back kind of, smaller size business. So consultants and experts or coaches doing about 200 grand a year, and then we'll take them up to $1 million a year pretty quickly. The reason for that is because, we can service all sorts of clients, but it's really exciting taking someone from 6 figures to 7 figures, and it changes their lives. But a corporate who's doing $200 million a year, we make them an extra $10 million a year. Yeah, it's kind of, great, but it's not life changing.
So when someone is starting out in business, often they'll say, "Oh, well, I will spend that, I'll invest that when I get to this stage, and then I'll do it at this stage. Like I'll get a coach when I can afford it, kind of thing." And then it's kind of too late. You got to invest in the coach straight away. What would your advice be to, say, small business, new business out there that is, you know, they should be doing marketing, they're not really doing too much at all? How would you do a sales pitch to them?
I think the way that I look at the market is I'm never really trying to push what we do down anyone's throat. There are some people in the market who will never be a client of ours, no matter what we do or say, right? And they're very much, I can figure out myself and I can do this. And like they probably can. In all fairness, there's so much great information and knowledge on the internet, on YouTube. They probably can figure out themselves. What we do is we accelerate the learning process because you're either paying in time or you're paying in money. So, for example, if it takes someone 10 years to get from zero to $1 million, working with someone like us, we might be able to shorten it to 2 years, 3 years. So it's all the extra revenue you're dropping, but they're going slower and just not having the expertise come in and having to relearn all the mistakes. So that's kind of how I see what we do is just, come in and accelerate the growth rather than like figuring all this stuff out yourself.
Yeah, well said. What would you say is the most effective marketing platform at the moment?
It's
What
actually,
your social media is, TikTok is obviously on fire and stuff, but whether you pick up quality leads out of there is another question.
yeah, that's a really good question. It's also varied because for some clients, a certain platform or channel work well, but for another client, that same channel platform just won't work. So typically for most of our B2B or businesses that sell to other businesses, we actually run cold emails. Like cold emails, we send people stuff in the post and it still works amazingly. Like the numbers we get, we see like 80% open rates, 20% reply rates on cold emails. So that still really, really works. When it comes to advertising, I mean, Google Ads, it's high intent. People are searching for a solution. You just got to present your solution in a much better way. Whereas Facebook ads, Instagram ads still can be quite good. And I just personally haven't done enough TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, haven't done it, so can't
Right.
speak to that platform. But it's different use cases for different companies, and it also depends on who your target, who your target audience or clients are.
What would you say is the most effective sort of marketing strategy? Is it, if I just pick one and say results-based marketing,
Mm.
obviously that can be very effective, but what do you find is most effective?
I'm a big fan of cold emails. So we build, 80% of what we do as a business and what we do for clients on cold emails. And then we'll leverage that and run ads for the rest of the 20 or 30%. So that for us is
But
still kind of
what's your content of the emails though? Is it talking about results of that the client's been able to achieve, or what's kind of your edge?
I mean, not necessarily. Yes, in some cases. So the best performing emails for us, mixture of curiosity, mixture of case studies. So as you said, here's what we did for another client. Those work definitely. Or even if it's something like educational based, where it's if there's a change in the market or change in the way that people have done things, right? We can warn people. We can give them checklists. That works really well. The way I see email is just like, what information do they not know that can change their business entirely that they'll really want to know? And how can we be the guide or the advisor or the friend that gives them this information?
So when I first start, I feel like I'm grilling you here. When I
Go for it.
when I first started business, my call to action from I had two from my website. One was the soft option, click here for your free reports. Give me your
Mhm.
details and I'll give you free reports. And the other one was a consultation. Are things like those sorts of free, you mentioned checklists there, but are things like the freebies and like reports, consultations, that kind of stuff, are they just as effective now as they've ever been?
If you do it right, definitely. So, for example, we've got a client who uses a combination of both. So they target an industry which has been changing a lot, right? New laws, new regulations coming through. We send an email saying, "Hey, we've got this checklist. Do you want it?" And their leads reply back, "Yeah, it sounds interesting." And then straight off the back of that, we go, "Look, here's a checklist. By the way, just so we can help you further, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to X, X being one, and that still gets people on the sales calls. It fills the pipelines, gets the conversions. Still, my clients make a lot of money through for that campaign.
Personally, I just recently, well, I'll say recently, the last 12 months, I've been using quizzes on
Mm.
my website. They seem to be quite effective at just triggering people's interest, something a little bit different as well, which is pretty cool because you've got to keep thinking all the time to try and keep that. Like most of my time is spent in health and fitness, and it's such a
Mm.
saturated market. Trying to give people quality information rather than just having a video of some girl's butt doing squats and saying, "Come see me." So no one even wants to see me doing squats.
Mate, you're look, I absolutely love quizzes, and you're right. Like, that stuff used to work before, but people are smarter than that now, right? People have seen all the kind of crap that people put out, like really bad marketers put out. So the reason why a quiz is so good, it takes the work off the hands of the people you're sending it to, and it just gives them answers that are relevant for them. And relevancy is such a big key. So yeah, we love quizzes. We, if it's appropriate, we use them as well. But you're completely right. In fitness, I think it's a great place to play.
Yeah, cool. So off air, we were talking about what you do to take care of your own health and wellness and so forth. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think it's got a strong alignment with mindset in business.
Yeah, so there's a few things that I do consistently, which I think really help. I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Been training for about 13 years. Absolutely love it. And that sport for me is a mix of like amazing cardio plus strength. So that really helps and it's mental time out, right? Because when someone's trying to break your arm or, strangle you, the last thing you're thinking about is, oh, how did the email do? It's like,
That's
holy
right.
crap, let me defend myself. Let me make sure I don't die here. So that's really cool to at least get, an hour and a half, a few nights a week of not thinking about work. The other thing that I love, and I only picked this up over the last few years, but I've just been obsessed with it now, is surfing. So being out in nature, in the water, chasing waves has been amazing. So those two are kind of the fitness things that I've, really helped sustain me. And then on the other side, in terms of health, I do intermittent fasting, and it's just a habit now. So I've been doing it for so many years, and that kind of helps me to get the focus time in the mornings and, not go and binge on food most mornings.
Yeah, sure. So let's I find anyone that like jiu-jitsu, for instance, I find anyone that does a martial art, because of the discipline that's required, the consistency. And like you said, you've been doing it for 13 years and what, 2-3 times a week, the focus that's required, you want to get better. I think this is really great marketing on all the martial arts, the belts. You just keep going. You want to get to that next one and that next one and the next one. It's kind of never like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, don't you get to like Grand Master, like so many dans and all that kind of stuff. So it's like it just keeps going.
Yeah, it's like belts and then stripes, and then like the ultimate's like the red belt, but only a few people in the world have it. And like I think it's like just gamification. It's old school gamification, right? It's like the OG kind of way of doing it.
And do you find that discipline, because of what it's taken, really helps you in business as well? But not from the fitness perspective, but from just the discipline perspective.
Yeah, I think the main thing for me is just the ability to soak up punishment and be able to keep going, because like jiu-jitsu is one of those
Fair
sports
enough.
where
Well, your business beats you up, doesn't it? So
yeah, absolutely does. And it's like, but you can see the parallels. And I think, it's funny because I was part of a mastermind, and, part of the mastermind, we went out and went diving and did free diving training. And even with no private experience, I was able to go down and touch the bottom and all that kind of stuff. And one of the guys said, hey, I think that's actually your jiu-jitsu experience, like being able to be in an uncomfortable situation and not freaking out. But it's also the same as business, like just not going, holy crap, this is too hard. It's just, no, I've been for uncomfortable situations. Let me get through this next bit, and it should be better.
Well, it's very closely aligned to the title of this show, mental toughness as well, resilience. You've just got to keep pushing yourself more and more, don't you? So on that note, would you say has been your greatest failure? Let's go deep, and what you've learned from it, whether it be personal or whether it be business.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I've tried to launch several businesses before and after before and during this current business, I should say. And I think each one has got its lessons. It's a really interesting question, because I think for me, because I'm in marketing, we do so much testing. Every single campaign I launch to market could be a failure.
Mm. It's
So
like a new hit as an artist, isn't it? It's like, Okay, this sounds good. I think it's going to be good, but is it going to bomb or is it going to be a number one?
Yeah. And, we've had campaigns where I was so sure we were going to crush it and it didn't. And then you've got to turn around to the client and say, hey, I was completely wrong. So I think those were definitely big lessons. And it kind of sets the expectation of like the idea of under promising, over delivering.
Mm.
So just being able to hold back a little bit and contain your own excitement rather than go, hey, I think your campaign's going to crush it. I think I'm going to make $1 million. Just be like, let's just see how it goes. I think that's been a really big lesson. And just knowing, how to communicate failures and also wins to people as well has probably been a big one.
Yeah, nice one. One of the things that I like to do for my clients is provide them with that, like, wow, I'll just say wow experiences, right? What would be some wow experiences in the way that you would perhaps wow your clients?
Yeah, so we've actually got this built into our entire process. So as soon as a client onboards, we actually have a physical gift that gets sent to the clients.
Okay.
We also have, something else that happens once they get their first lead from us. So we've got this big celebration. We send this amazing email, and then after at either 3 or 6 months, when we have to talk, hey, do you want to continue? We then send actually another gift or other experiences. And then at least once a year, we make sure to go and see them in person, whether that's to take them out to lunch or whether, if there's a concert or an event close to the office, we'll just take the entire team. So we build all this kind of stuff into what we actually do.
Yeah. Okay. Are the gifts tailored to, like the person, a bit about the person and so forth?
Yes and no. Sometimes clients take a while to open up and warm up to the personal side with us. So in those cases, we've got some generic gifts, but I mean, they are still, we've got like a beautiful desk mat. We've got, really nice pens and things like that we give to clients. So it's still very useful. Generally, if we've been working with them for 6 months, that's when we start personalizing, because before then we may not get that much personal info about them.
Yeah, sure. All right, let's go the other way. What's been your most successful, say, campaign or your biggest success, you would say?
I think taking an aggregate look or taking like a combination of everything we've done. We work with a company called Air Wallets, this massive successful startup story in Australia. They're currently doing 250 million a year, 900 million in funding. And we work with them from when they had 3 salespeople to building a team of 100 salespeople. I think they're at over 100 salespeople at the moment. And they're still using some of the emails we've written for them, still using some of the sales process and, lead gen stuff that we've done for them. So that I think is, one thing that we're really proud to hang a hat on.
Yeah, nice work. You mentioned earlier about snail mail. Is there a growing trend to go back to that? I mean, the only thing that comes in my in my mailbox are bills and useless advertising. Like, it's normally the supermarket advertising, but you don't normally get snail mail these days.
Yeah. Again, there's certain companies where we do it for our clients and it works amazingly, and some others we've tested and it's kind of flopped. I think it's really about the approach you've got. So, for example, when we do snail mail, we send beautiful envelopes. Everything's handwritten, so when they get it, it's like, oh, am I getting invited to a wedding or something? And then when they open it, you've got to be very concise and just straight to the point, straight to the value for them. So I don't know if it's going to make a huge comeback. I think it's a lot of work to carry out versus putting some ads up. So I don't know if people will go back to it, but it's working well for a lot of our clients.
Yeah, nice. And what would you say is next for you? What's the next chapter for you as we close out this year, head into 2024?
Yep. So next chapter for us, we're either buying minority share or majority share of businesses. So we're going to take our team of people that we've built over the past 7 years and going to acquire businesses and grow together. So it's about being more aligned with our clients.
Okay. All right. Cool. And so what's that process? So somebody onboards as a client, and then at some point you have a conversation about buying them, investing in them.
Yeah, potentially. And some people come up to us and, if they don't quite have the ability to pay our monthly fees, but we look at the business and go, hey, you've got a really unique product or service. Why don't we drop our fees, but let's, give us 10% of revenue that we generate for you. On the flip side, it could just be like, I really like your business, but I don't think you've got the right operators in. Can I give you, can I buy a business from you and just run it myself? So it's kind of like a combination between the two.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And like your own business model, do you outsource? Do you have any like international? You're based in Sydney, right?
Yeah, so based in Sydney. Most of my team are actually they're full timers that we've been with us for years, but they're based in the Philippines. So that's where we train up most of our team. But yeah, but it's kind of outsourced, kind of not. They're full time team members. They get a salary, they get paid leave, all of that kind of stuff. But they're just not located in Australia.
Yeah, yeah, nice. And uh, does it matter? Are you mainly focusing on clients in Australia, or it doesn't matter?
We've got a good split. We've got a good split between Australia and the US.
Okay.
So yeah, so we service both.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sweet. And what have you got planned for that? You're taking a break coming up in the as we head into the holiday season?
Oh, mate. I kind of work opposite to most people. Like when most people like taking a break, I kind of like working through because it's just quiet. So I'll probably power through until Feb, probably. And then hopefully, in February, we'll get to go out to Japan and do some skiing and snowboarding with the kids. And I'll
Okay.
take my break then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that. I don't really take holidays. I just keep working.
It's hard to when it's when it's your own business because
Once
your
you're a
brain
business,
never
you just
stops.
don't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't switch mine off. It just keeps going and going and going. And when there's a little bit of a quiet time, it's like, great, let's do some more
Mm.
creative type work. Awesome. So, if people want to get in touch with you and check out more of your work and see about working with you, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so a couple of different ways. The first is to head to my website, which is growthlabs.com. And the
I will
second
put
way,
the links in the description below this. But yeah,
oh, awesome, perfect. And the second way is probably LinkedIn's probably the best place to have a chat with me.
yeah, okay, all right, cool. That sounds great. Well, this has been really enlightening. Thank you so much for adding value to the audience here today. I think marketing is one of those things that um, people underestimate and think, oh, well, I can just put some stuff on social media and it's going to explode. It doesn't happen like that. You've got to do multiple things at the same time, don't you, to get the traction and see which one. It's testing and measuring all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a never-ending cycle of it. But yeah, if you test enough, eventually you find some winners, and then you just double down on winners, and that's how you build big companies.
Yeah, sweet. Well, great to talk with you today, Will. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Well, thanks so much, mate. It was awesome. Great questions.